Hey friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff. If there's one thing I know how to teach you on this channel, it's how to make a t-shirt. In today's video, we're going to be talking about several different t-shirt decorating methods. We're going to talk about sublimation, DTF printing, and white toner printing. I've done videos on all of these separately, but today I wanted to compare them against each other, basically a head-to-head, so we can figure out what is best for your needs, budget, and space. Each of these technologies have their advantages and their disadvantages, so we're going to talk about all of that in today's video. But before we get into it, I do have a free file for you today. This Plant Mom file is the file I'm going to be using on all of the shirts that I'm making today, and it is really cute and I'm excited to offer it for you. You can find it in my craft library. You can access my craft library by going to heyletsmakestuff.com/library. From there, if you don't already have it, you can request the password and log in. This file is S37, so you're going to be looking for S37 to download this file. You can find it in one of two ways. The first is to click the Sublimation plus DTF button, and it will take you down to the section where you can find S37. You can also use the find function on your computer. So if you have a Mac, you can use Command F to find it, or if you have a PC, you can use Control F to find it. Just search for S37, and you'll be taken right to the file. From there, you'll see that there are 3 links. The first link is the download link for this file, so you can go ahead and click that and it will download a zip with all the files inside. The second link is for the blog post that accompanies this video if you want to read more, and the third link is for this video if you need to come back to refer to it. For this comparison, I am using BELLA+CANVAS Tees. You guys all know that BELLA+CANVAS Tees are my favorite. I talk about them all the time. I wear them all the time. I love them. We are currently using BELLA+CANVAS Tees over in our Crafting Camps merch shop, which I will go ahead and link to in the description. And people tell us that they are really excited to get these tees because they are BELLA+CANVAS. People are always looking for that BELLA+CANVAS tag in the back of the shirt because they know that the shirts are going to fit really well and they're going to be really soft. If you haven't already taken advantage of signing up for the BELLA+CANVAS Makers account, what are you waiting for? You can get wholesale pricing without a reseller license. You can just use these things for your own use. You don't even have to resell them. You just get them for a lower price than you would retail. I have a whole video on their Makers account. I absolutely love it. It's what I use all the time, and I will go ahead and link that video in the description below. There will be one tee that is not BELLA+CANVAS that I used in this video, and that's because I wanted a 100% polyester tee. And BELLA+CANVAS just doesn't make a 100% polyester tee, generally because they aren't that comfortable and not everybody likes them. You really like that cotton feel, so that's what BELLA+CANVAS has. But because sublimation, which I'll talk about here in a minute, needs polyester to actually perform that sublimation process, I did use a different brand that is 100% polyester. So if you've been crafting with me for any length of time, you may have started with a Cricut machine. You may have also started with a Silhouette, that's another cutting machine, but most of my people are Cricut people. Cricut is a great place to start if you want to get into machine crafting. If you want to make a shirt with your Cricut, you're going to be using something called heat transfer vinyl. So this is basically a vinyl product that has an adhesive on the back that is activated by heat. You'll upload your design to Cricut Design Space, you'll have your Cricut cut it out, and then you will weed out that excess vinyl that you don't need, so anything around your image that is not your image itself. Then you're going to use a heat press to apply it to your garment. And then you're going to end up with something that looks like this. This is a single layer of heat transfer vinyl, and you can see that it's just one color. You can layer HTV to get a wider variety of colors in your image. However, you are limited to the colors that HTV comes in. I've used this sort of toothpaste minty blue color that I really like. For this particular shirt, I could have added some green. I could have done some glitter, some holographic. There are a lot of things you can do with HTV, but you are limited to the types of HTV that companies make. And after a while, you might start thinking, I really want to make something with full color. Maybe you want to do something with photos. Maybe you just want something that has a lot of color in it. And HTV, while great, is probably not going to get you there. So you might start looking at our first printer option. The first type of printing we're going to talk about is sublimation printing. Sublimation printing is often the next logical step for Cricut crafters. Maybe you already own a heat press for doing heat transfer vinyl. All you need to add is a printer that takes sublimation ink. You can do this on the cheap by adding sublimation ink to an Epson EcoTank printer. There are also other sublimation-specific printers, including the Sawgrass printer and the Brother sublimation printer, and Epson also makes a sublimation printer. So depending on what you're looking for and how much you want to spend, you can spend anywhere from maybe $200 upwards of more than $1,000 if you want to get a larger printer. Sublimation has 2 requirements. One I mentioned before, and that's that you need a high polyester count. You can start at something like 65% and go all the way up to 100%. The higher the polyester count, the more vibrant your image will be. I did actually do a test of a BELLA+CANVAS EcoMax tee, which is 65% polyester, and the sublimation was good. I wouldn't say it was great as if it was 100%, but it did look pretty good. However, I wanted to show you what 100% polyester looks like. The second requirement is that you are going to need something that is white or a light color, and that's because sublimation ink is transparent. Think of it like a highlighter. If you highlight a bright white page, you're going to be able to see that highlighter really easily. However, if you try and highlight something that's black, you're not going to be able to see it at all. A sublimation printer does not print white, so you need a white or light colored blank to be able to see the image that you're using. So you will use your sublimation printer to print out your image on sublimation paper. So I have this image that I'm using here. You can see that it is reversed. Then all you have to do is apply the image using your heat press. The temperature for the sublimation process to happen is quite high, so I had my heat press set at 385 degrees for 60 seconds, and after pressing, you get an image that looks like this. It is bright, it is vibrant, and best of all, it is absolutely permanent. The sublimation process means that the sublimation ink becomes one with the fibers of your shirt, and it becomes one with the polyester fibers of your shirt, which is why you need that polyester count. This does not sit on top of the fabric. This is completely embedded in the fabric. You can stretch it, you can wash it, it's never going to crack or peel. The fact that it doesn't crack or peel is one of the main reasons I think people move from HTV over to sublimation. HTV, when applied right, can last a lot of washes, but over time it's going to crack and peel and it won't last forever. Sublimation, however, lasts a really long time. It will last the length of the garment. The only time you ever might see fading is if you get it really, really hot. And I'm talking really, really hot. But overall, it should look this good no matter how many times you wash it. One of the biggest benefits of sublimation is that you can also do way more than garments. So yes, you can do awesome t-shirts like this, but you can also make mugs and tumblers and earrings and all sorts of things. There are so many sublimation blanks. Sublimation really hit this at-home crafter audience in the last couple years, and companies have responded by creating so many amazing sublimation blanks. I mean, if you go on Amazon, you can just scroll for days at all of these amazing sublimation blanks. So that's sort of an overview of sublimation. Let's specifically talk about the advantages and the disadvantages. The first pro is that you get these bright, vibrant prints. They really are just gorgeous. Every time I do sublimation, I still can't believe how well it works. Add the fact that this becomes one with the fabric, and you really do have a great product that's accessible to a lot of people. Compared to the other printers I'm going to talk about, you can get started with sublimation relatively inexpensively. Again, like I said, you can convert an Epson EcoTank printer for around $200. And the other printers I'm going to talk about are thousands of dollars. So this is a relatively inexpensive way to get into printer crafting. Also, like I said, there are a huge variety of blanks and more hit the market every day. So if you feel like you might get bored just making t-shirts and other garments, sublimation might be the right choice for you because it really does open up a huge world of crafting. And if you want to get into more professional sublimation printing, you can do all over printing with sublimation. So this whole garment here is polyester. So if I had a big enough printer and a big enough heat press, I could sublimate all over this thing. I could sublimate both sides and you would get an all over print. And then a final advantage of sublimation printing is that it's not messy. It's actually a very neat and tidy craft. We're going to talk about DTF next, can't say the same. But if you're not looking to make a huge mess in your craft space, sublimation works really well. Like any of these printing processes, there are some disadvantages. The biggest to me is that you need polyester or poly-coated blanks. The sublimation process just needs that to work, and then you also can't use it on dark blanks. So if I wanted to make a black sublimation t-shirt, you can't. You just won't see the image. Those two reasons alone are why people start to look at DTF printing and white toner printing, which I'm going to talk about next. Finally, one disadvantage to sublimation is that it can smell. And I don't know what it is, but heat presses plus sublimation, it creates sort of this fishy smell. Some blanks are worse than others. For example, I had no smell with this particular shirt, but if I go to press, say, a neoprene can koozie, my office will stink for days. So that is just something to be aware of, that you do have these sort of really stinky fumes that might appear for sublimation. Not everything, and it doesn't bother most people. Just open a window and turn on a fan. However, it might be off-putting to people who have a really strong sense of smell. When sublimation crafters get tired of only sublimating on polyester and light-colored blanks, they start to look at the next two options. And I feel like this is where you might find a split in the road. I feel like it kind of goes cutting machine to sublimation, and then you're going to either go white toner or you're going to go DTF. So first, let's talk about DTF printing. DTF stands for direct to film. So basically, this type of printer prints on film instead of paper. It uses a specialized printer with solvent inks and also includes the color white. And because it includes that white, you can put it on dark colored garments. And that makes it a lot more versatile than sublimation. Within DTF, I feel like people either take two routes. If they don't want to get a DTF printer, you can just order DTF prints online. That's what I do. So I found a local place that does DTF prints, and I ordered 2 prints of this Plant Mom shirt. I was able to pick it up without having to pay for shipping, and I'm really impressed with the quality of these prints. A lot of places online will be charging shipping, and often that's the most expensive part of the whole deal. So you may want to take a look and see if anybody in your local community is doing DTF printing so you can buy those prints and pick them up and not pay for shipping. Then there are the people who decide to buy a printer, and this is a big investment. So the printer that I generally recommend, which is the A4 Prestige printer from DTF Station, is about $5,000 with the whole kit and caboodle. That is a huge jump over the $200 sublimation printer. If you do decide to get a DTF printer, you're in for a wild ride. This is sort of the infancy of DTF printers, and so it's a bit wild, wild west out there, and they do require printing almost daily to keep the ink from clogging, as well as constant maintenance. Once you have the print out of the printer, you have to go through a powdering stage where you apply a powdered adhesive and then you put that into a curing oven so that it hardens that adhesive on the back. It is a big, long process, but honestly, DTF prints are amazing. So it may be worth it to you to decide, yeah, I'm going to deal with kind of the hassle of getting a DTF printer to get the amazing DTF prints. So I'm going to break this up into advantages and disadvantages depending on whether or not you want to order prints or you want to get your own printer. Let's start with ordering prints. Obviously, the biggest advantage here is you don't have to own a big, expensive printer. You get bright, vibrant, durable, beautiful prints without having to go through all of the maintenance and hassle of having a DTF printer. DTF prints work on a variety of fabrics, so if you want to use cotton, that's totally fine. If you want to use dark fabrics, that's totally fine as well. When you get your transfer from wherever you order it from, it only takes about 10 to 12 seconds to press at 300 degrees. So it is a very easy press. And once you've pressed it, it is amazing. I love how DTF prints feel. Yes, they do sit on top of the fabric, which might be a disadvantage to some. However, they have such a soft feel and the color is so bright and vibrant. It looks absolutely amazing. The biggest disadvantages to ordering prints is that you have to wait for your prints to come, right? You can't just make them whenever you would like, and they can get expensive, which is why I recommend finding a local DTF printer if possible, because then you can save on shipping. Now let's talk about having a DTF printer and what are the advantages and disadvantages of that. The biggest advantage is that you can print what you want when you want. You don't have to place an order, wait for it to be made, pick it up, or wait for it to come in the mail. And then all the other advantages are the same as ordering a print. Super easy to press, bright, vibrant colors, ability to use it on dark fabrics or cotton fabrics. All of these things make DTF prints really great. As far as disadvantages go, you're right, there are some disadvantages to owning a DTF printer. The biggest one for me is actually safety concerns. I did a whole video a few weeks ago about safety concerns with DTF printing that you should definitely watch before you go out and buy yourself a printer. DTF printing is also, like I said, a messy process. So if you're using an at-home printer, it comes out wet. So the ink is still wet, so you can't touch it or you've ruined your design. And then you have to take it and you have to apply this powdered adhesive that sort of gets everywhere. And then you have to cure it in an oven. All of that also takes up a lot of space. With a sublimation printer, you just need room for the printer. With a DTF printer, you need room for the printer, which is larger than a standard printer. You need a place to add that powdered adhesive, and you need a place for a curing oven. So DTF printing just takes up the most space of all the options I'm going to talk about here. The printer requires a lot of maintenance, sometimes daily maintenance. Because of the way that the inks work, print heads get clogged really easily, so you need to keep the printer really clean, which means that you can't let it sit for too many days, and you do need to be cleaning it almost daily, which means also that it can be very temperamental to use. So if you are going to go the DTF printer route, and maybe you should because Flex prints are amazing, you'll want to buy from a reputable dealer. That way you can get that maintenance and those calls, the service calls, all of those things that somebody can help you with. If you buy a cheap DTF printer from like Alibaba or somewhere else online that has no service with it, I think you're going to be really disappointed and frustrated. The printing process itself is also the slowest of all of the options here. I would say the white toner printer that I'm going to talk about next is the fastest. Sublimation is a little bit slower than that, and this is pretty slow. So if you want to do super high volume runs, just keep that in mind that the prints are pretty slow. And then there's a disadvantage that if you are a Mac user, the software is PC only. So you're going to have to get yourself a PC if you want to be able to use the RIP software required for the printer. And then finally, DTF really is only good for soft textiles, whereas sublimation can be put on all sorts of things as long as it has a polyester count or a polyester coating. I have tested DTF prints on hard blanks, and honestly, it's just not worth it. It doesn't work very well. The only hard blank that I was really happy with was wood, but I tried ceramic, glass, a whole bunch of other things, and it really didn't work very well at all. For that, you probably want a UV DTF transfer, which is different than this type of DTF. I actually did a video on UV DTF transfers last week. They're a completely different thing. You wouldn't decorate a t-shirt with them, so that's why they're not in this video. But if you're looking for something that is really permanent, bright, and vibrant to put on, say, glass cans or mugs or tumblers or bookmarks or anything like that, make sure you check out my UV DTF printing video because I think that's probably what you're looking for. Because of all these disadvantages, I would say DTF printing is best for small businesses. I don't think an at-home crafter is going to print at the volume that you need to be able to keep a DTF printer running really well. Again, you're probably going to want to be printing every day, every other day, and most at-home crafters I know are not printing that often. But if you have a small business, this might be a great investment for you. And that's because DTF prints, again, are awesome. You can make projects with them, and then you can also sell the DTF prints to all those people who don't want to get a printer for themselves. And then finally, we have white toner printing. So like I said before, some people go DTF, some people go white toner printing. For me, white toner made more sense because I'm not printing enough to keep a DTF printer running all the time. A white toner printer, however, requires virtually no maintenance, so it's a really great choice for small businesses that want to do prints on demand but don't actually have the capacity to be able to be cleaning a machine every day. White toner printing is technically a form of DTF printing, and that is because it is printed on film. It's printed on film sheets instead of on rolls, and it uses toner instead of solvent inks. Toner is powder, whereas ink is liquid. Because we're working with a powder, it means that we don't get clogs, and that's why we don't have any maintenance with a white toner printer. The process for making a white toner print to use on a garment is fairly simple. You print it out on the white toner printer, and then instead of using a powdered adhesive, you're going to use a sheet adhesive. So you're going to use your heat press to basically apply this backing, and when you peel it off, the adhesive will be on the back of your image. From there, you just apply it to your garment. It's a 30-second press at 300, so we're not working with those super high heat temperatures of sublimation. And then you will need to do a post-press using a special sheet that helps remove some of the shininess of the image and really gets that image adhered into the fabric. One of the big pros of white toner printing over DTF is that you can use white toner printing on more than just soft garments. So you can use this type of printing in so many different ways. If I wanted to print white on cardstock, I could. You can make temporary tattoos. You can make mylar balloon transfers. You can make transfers for hard blanks like mugs and tumblers. It is a lot more versatile with the number of things you can make compared to DTF. And then you get this really beautiful transfer. I will say it's not quite as bright and vibrant as the DTF, but overall it is pretty close, and I feel like without all of the maintenance requirements and the mess, this is a really great option for some people. So let's talk about those white toner advantages and disadvantages. Like with DTF, you get bright, full-color prints that can be used on all sorts of garments. So if you want to put it on cotton, you can. You want to put it on dark garments, you totally can. Additionally, it can be used with all of those other types of substrates, making it more versatile. The feel on the fabric is similar to DTF. It's very soft and wearable, although it is slightly less stretchy than DTF. So if you're looking to put it on something like spandex, this is probably not the best option. Overall, white toner printing is much, much safer than DTF printing, and it requires a lot less space and doesn't make nearly the mess. While white toner printing has a lot of advantages, it does have some disadvantages. It is generally the most expensive process that I'm talking about here. DTF and white toner printing can go back and forth, but the DTF printer I used was $5,000 and the white toner printer that I'm using now is $8,000. And that is a significant price difference. There is a bit of a learning curve when it comes to that marrying process of adding the adhesive to the back. People say that they struggle with it. Honestly, I've had almost 100% good luck. There is only one time that I have really not got it right. Overall, it has been much easier than I expected. Like with a DTF printer, if you're a Mac person, you're going to be disappointed because the white toner printer only runs that PC software. And then finally, the transfers themselves are just not quite as bright or quite as stretchy or quite as durable as DTF printing. Overall, because this printer is so expensive, I'm not sure the everyday at-home crafter is the right target audience for this particular printer. Like with the DTF printer, I think it is more geared towards small businesses. However, if you have just a lot of expendable income, then this might be a really fun purchase. So this brings me to a question you're probably all asking: which one is best? And unfortunately, like with most things, it depends. There are pros and cons to each method, and there is no one-size-fits-all because every crafter is different. So take a look at what you want to do. If you want to make vibrant, full-color images and you don't have a lot of money, you may want to get a sublimation printer. But if you have a small business and you're looking to expand, you may want to look into a DTF printer or a white toner printer. One of the best things about this is that you can order all 3 of these types of transfers from places like Etsy. So if you wanted to go and order yourself a sublimation print, a DTF print, and a white toner print from Etsy, you could get them all printed and just see what feels best to you. This gives you a chance to play around with everything without having to invest in expensive equipment. For me, I have 2 sublimation printers and a white toner printer. That's what works best in my space. But I do think DTF transfers actually look the best. But I'm not willing to sacrifice my safety, my space, my cleanliness, all of these things to have a DTF printer. So for now, I am more than happy with my sublimation printers and my white toner printer. They just work really well for me in this space in my life for being able to print things out on demand. If I do want to make something with DTF, then I order from that local company. I hope you found this comparison between these 3 printing methods helpful. I'd be interested if you wanted to let me know in the comments which is your favorite. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those and I'd be happy to answer them. If you found this video helpful, of course, please give it a like. Follow my channel for more sublimation, DTF, and white toner printing. I'll see you next time.